So we want to welcome all of you to the joint meeting of the Cotati City Council and a successor agency to the former Cotati Community Redevelopment Agency. Today is Tuesday, August 25th, and this is a 6 o'clock regular meeting of the City Council. So we're going to start, open up the meeting and do a roll call.
Councilmember Savage.
Here.
Councilmember Sparks.
Here.
Councilmember Ford.
Here.
Mayor Lemus.
Here.
We'll show Vice Mayor Harvey as absent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item is approval of minutes and notice of waiving of reading of all resolutions and ordinances introduced and are adopted under this agenda. So we have the minutes of the Cotati City Council from the meeting of August 11, 2026. Is there any questions or corrections from council? No? Okay, we'll go open it up to public comment. We'll go online first for the minutes of August 11th.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you would like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. Seeing no hands on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the room who would like to make a comment on the minutes of August 11, 2026? Please come forward. Okay, seeing none, I will bring it back to council for a motion or further comment.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so the next items that we have are the proclamations, and we have two. We'll start with the Women's Equality Day, and I don't see anyone here from the Commission on Status of Women. Is there anyone here from the Commission on Status of Women? Okay, so then we will read the proclamation, and we'll present it at a later time to the Commission. The proclamation of the City Council of the City of Cotati proclaiming August 26, 2026 as Women's Equality Day in Cotati. Whereas on August 26, 2026, we mark the 106th anniversary of the enactment of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which secured the right to women to vote for women. And whereas to secure this right, women were forced to conduct 56 referendum campaigns, 480 campaigns to get legislatures to submit suffrage amendments, 277 campaigns to state party conventions, 19 campaigns to 19 successive Congresses, and get the consent of 36 states and more. And whereas over the past 3 years, whereas today women constitute roughly 50.1% of our workforce, the majority of the students in our colleges and graduate schools, and an increasing number of primary breadwinners. And whereas over the past 3 years, women's incomes have declined, and as of mid-2026, women working full-time earned 81% of what men earned, down from 85% in 2023. And whereas even with the gains women had made, women's role as equal members of our society and their rights are being challenged and reversed in multiple arenas, including the fundamental right to vote, access to reproductive health care, and protection from being the subject of personal violence. And whereas here in Sonoma County, the Board of Supervisors in 1976 established the Commission on the Status of Women with the express purpose of working to ensure equal rights and opportunities that enhance the quality of life for all women and girls, and address the issues of discrimination and prejudice that negatively affect women in Sonoma County. And whereas more work remains to be done in many areas that directly impact equal pay for equal work, including access to quality, affordable child care, affordable housing, comprehensive health care for women, and mental health care. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed on this day of August 25th, 2026, by the City Council of the City of Cotati, that August 26, 2026 is Women's Equality Day in the City of Cotati, marking the 106th anniversary of the enactment of the 19th Amendment, celebrating the achievements of women and recommitting to gender equality in Sonoma County and all women's fundamental rights. Thank you. I didn't ask if there was comments from the council. Any comments from the council? Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? We'll start with online.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Once again, Zoom attendees, if you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please use the raise hand icon. There are no hands on Zoom, Mayor Lemus.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Oh, yes, comments in the room. Any comments in the room on the Women's Equality Day proclamation? Okay, seeing none, thank you. We'll bring it back to council. Okay, the next item we have is proclamation of the City Council of the City of Cotati honoring Michael Lorraine, the Cotati flower guy. And I see in the room Bonnie and Mrs. Wilder with you. Nice to have you here. So if you'd like to come to the front, we can read the proclamation, and if you want to share a few words, you're welcome to, or not. Did you want to come while we read the proclamation, or do you want to wait? What's up to you? Sure. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, the proclamation of the City Council of the City of Cotati honoring Michael Lorraine, the Cotati flower guy. Whereas Michael Lorraine is known to many as a beloved Flowers Not Your Reason Why vendor who sold bouquets of flowers from the back of his car on East Cotati Avenue nearly every day over the past 50 years. And whereas born to Marjorie and Charles Lorraine on September 20th, 1947, Michael was raised in Los Angeles with 4 sisters and a brother. And whereas Michael was discovered as an actor on stage when he was a student at Pierce College. And whereas signed by a Hollywood agent, Michael appeared in 2 episodes of Marcus Welby, MD, 2 episodes of Ironside, the TV series Gunsmoke, as well as having key parts in The Last Child, a movie released in 1971 starring Ed Asner, and the 1968 film Buckskin, where he played Jimmy Cody. And whereas Michael joked that he loved the beauty and the attention of Hollywood, but that gilded life never was for him, so he moved north. And whereas Michael found flower sales and discovered that the freedom of such a job allowed him to read, write, converse, and create community with strangers, usually in his signature Dodger blue gear. And whereas more than a small-town entrepreneur, Michael was a prolific reader and writer, penning works of fiction, books of poetry, and children's tales, including 11 books that are currently for sale on Amazon. And whereas although we lost a beloved part of our community, on February 25th, 2026, Michael's memory and enduring works will live on in the community, as well as with his daughter Wilder and fiancée for life, Bonnie. Now therefore be it proclaimed on this day of August 25th, 2026, by the City Council of the City of Cotati that we honor Michael Lorraine for 50 years of bringing smiles to residents and visitors and making the community a better place for all. Thank you. And now we will we'll bring it to City Council for any additional comments before we go to public comment. Any additional comments? Okay. Councilmember Sparks?
Yes, I just thank you for being here tonight, and was so saddened, and I'm so sorry for your loss, and I miss seeing the Flowers Not to Reason Why sign every day when I go by. So I'm glad that we can have a moment here to remember him.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
When we came up to Cotati in 2025 and found a townhome up here, living down in the city, I mean, this was like another planet almost. And seeing him there with the flowers, just each time we came into town, I mean, you knew you got off the highway and you were in a different, special place when you got here. So I just really appreciate all he did. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, do you want to come forward and share some words? Thank you.
I just wanted to invite everybody on August 29th, this Saturday. We're having a celebration of life in La Plaza Park from 12 to 3. Bring a picnic, wear a Hawaiian shirt, a fedora, or any type of baseball gear, and just come and celebrate his life, because that's what he would want. He would want us all to be laughing and enjoying ourselves. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to thank you, Bonnie and Wilder, for being here. I know how much he meant to you. I spoke with Bonnie a few weeks ago and just learned about how he would call Wilder every evening, and that was special time that you had with him. So I appreciate you being here. We appreciate Michael Lorraine's gift to the City of Cotati and our residents. So I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. And now, do we do a picture for this one? Let's go to public comment first, and then we'll do a picture. We'll open up to public comment, so if there's anyone online that would like to give public comment on this.
Thank you, Mayor Lee. Ms. Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon if you'd like to make a public comment. Seeing no hands on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the room who would like to make a public comment on this item may do so at this time. Okay, seeing none, we'll wait for Saturday. There will be lots of comments. So why don't we go ahead and, if you want to come forward, we'll come over and take a picture with you. Thank you. I want you to stand right here. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'll
you.
give this to you, and then I can, if you want, I can read it over at the event.
Okay.
Or a separate one, I can bring it up. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Alder. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, you too. Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the next item, which we have an agenda review. Do we have anything?
Thank you, Mayor. No proposed changes.
Okay, thank you. And the next item is citizen business and public comment for consent calendar items. Any member of the public wishing to speak to the council on any item listed on the consent calendar or any matter not listed on the agenda that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the council is not allowed to consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. Pursuant to City Council Policy 2025-03, comments of any member of the public are normally restricted to a total of 3 minutes in length per person for matters not on the agenda and a total of 3 minutes per person in length for any and all items on the consent calendar. The mayor may extend the time limit for a reasonable time where disability accommodation has been requested. To facilitate public comment, the timer indicator lights will display yellow when there are 30 seconds remaining and red when time has expired. So we'll go ahead and open citizen business and public comment. And we'll start with online.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Once again, Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon to make a public comment. The first hand is from Lori. You have the floor.
Hi. I wanted to talk tonight about there's been a lack of transparency about the lawsuits that are going through, especially the Countryside Mobile Home Park versus the city of Cotati. Nick Ubaldi shared that the city has already spent $200,000 in attorney fees for the attorney in Southern California. That's not reimbursable for CIRA and everything because this was not an accident. Nick Ubaldi told you that you were going to have you were voting for a lawsuit. So that was a couple months ago, and they're going to trial in, I think it's October. All that money going to them and attorneys is taking away from our services. And now you've also got George Barrett's federal lawsuit coming through because of the code enforcement scandal and how you went after him for 30 months and sent him a bill for $267,000 for minor violations, such as 42% instead of 40% lot coverage. So when are you guys going to talk about these things and how much, because we're having cuts in our services, but they're not seen but Redwood Public Law wants to be paid every month. The Southern California one is being paid every month, but it's coming through. So, and also I just wanted to encourage, we are out here, people can volunteer and everything to help with things in the city, and we should be exploring some volunteer programs too. Thank you.
There are no further hands on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. So now coming to the room, is there anyone in the room who would like to make a public comment on citizen business and public comment for consent calendar items? Okay, seeing none, bring up that back over to council. So we have a consent calendar. Is there questions on the consent calendar or motion?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next item we have, we're going to 7, direction on future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items? Okay. Okay. And the next item is public hearings. We're going to start with the first one, consideration of a 12-month time extension to the Cotati Village 1 project. And we have a report on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. My name is JP Harries. I'm a senior planner with the City of Cotati, and I do have a very brief PowerPoint. So tonight we're talking about granting a 12-month time extension to the entitlements that were granted to the Cotati Village 1 project. Next slide, please. If you'll recall, the project is located at the northeast corner of Alder Avenue and State Route 116, directly south of the Cotati cottages. Next slide, please. It's a 6-building development that's with 177 apartment units. 18 of those units are to be dedicated to very low income households, which qualified it for a density bonus. Other features include a pool and community center. It's located in Building E at the top, center top, and 4,752 square feet of commercial floor area. Those areas are in buildings A and C, kind of on the outer wings. And it also includes Class 1 trail running along parallel to State Route 116. And the 2 entitlements that were granted to the project were preliminary and final design review and a tree removal permit for oak removal. Next slide, please. And that's a rendering of what the apartments would look like if you were standing at 116 and Alder, looking to the northeast. Next slide, please. Just for some background, it went to Planning Commission in February 5th of 2024. Later that month, on the 27th, it came before the City Council, and both bodies, Planning Commission recommended approval, and then the City Council ultimately approved the project. It came back to the Administrative Design Review for final design review, which in this case was a staff review, and those asterisks indicate the final entitlement and the date at which we time our length of our entitlement, and which gave it, jumping to the bottom, it gave it an expiration of November 15th, 2026, which is 30 months from the date of the entitlement. Between that, on September 9th in 2025, they came before the City Council and you approved the affordability agreement, and then those agreements were recorded in May of 2026. Next slide, please. So the City Council, or whoever the review authority is of a project, can extend a permit. It may be extended provided that the review authority first finds that there have been no changes in the conditions or circumstances of the site or the project such that there would have been grounds for denial of the original project. You are allowed to grant 2 one-year extensions, and this, unfortunately, I apologize for it being covered up, but this, if you were to grant this would provide it would create an expiration date of November 15th, 2027. Next slide, please. Additionally, we have to recognize or acknowledge, question, did the applicant demonstrate that they have made good faith effort to exercise the permit? And let's go to the next slide. So this, you may recall, this previous owner was Monahan and his companies who had owned the property for some time and proposed multiple projects there. After Cotati Village 1 was approved. It was later sold to Diamond Boulevard LLC. These are experienced builders that do projects here in Sonoma County and throughout the Bay Area. They advised staff pretty much right when it was purchased that their intention was to build the project, but they would wait, but it would be delayed until 2028, 2029 in that period because of other projects they have going on right here in Sonoma County that they want to draw to a close and then start this project. Also in that time, as I mentioned, they were moving forward with adopting the affordability agreements. Currently, we have been working with them on design and installation of the frontage improvements. They actually were working with their engineers, but we're kind of married together because we're going through our process with Caltrans for the realignment of West Cotati Avenue and the roundabout, and we can't have them do their frontage improvements or provide designs until we're certain of what our designs are. So we're kind of moving forward together, and through that process, we're also evaluating what steps they would need to take to vest their project should they want to wait till late 2028, 29. We don't have a determination on that, but those are what we're looking at currently. So next slide, please. So the recommendation is that the City Council grant a 1-year time extension to design review and the tree removal permit, inclusive of all adopted plans and the conditions of approval, which would result in a new expiration date of November 15th, 2027. We felt the findings can be made and that they have been working with us closely since they have acquired the property. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you.
Oh, and I do want to say that the applicants are on Zoom tonight, so if you have questions, they are available. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start with questions only from council. Is there any questions? Okay, Councilman Ford.
Can you explain what it would take for the developer to exercise the permit? Like, is it pulling building permits? Is that what has to happen by the new deadlines they have November 15, 2027? Is it shovels? Is it some level of construction happening by that date? Or is that's that best
well, if
you're trying to make?
if that's a line that we're trying to determine right now is like what level of construction would they have to do to have exercised the permit? It looks like no.
Typically, vesting is granted when a building permit's pulled. There's some unique characteristics in this because we're trying to get the frontage designed and installed. There's construction costs, and so if they are willing to carry some of those costs, the city's evaluating kind of what level of construction would be needed to lock in that approval. And then on their side, some of the challenges with them is they can't begin construction until all mitigation measures are implemented, including all the CTS mitigation, which has cost. So they're trying to time implementing all the steps in the way that best fits their schedule, and then also working with us in a way that best fits ours. But generally, vesting is accomplished by pulling a building permit.
And once a building permit is pulled, how long is that valid for?
As long as you get inspections, a building permit stays active under state law for 12 months. So every inspection you get, it gives you another 12 months.
Mm. And that has to be an inspection of something new?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Good question.
Any other questions from council? Councilor Sparks?
Thank you. Yeah, I had just a similar question about, it seems like there's a legal requirement. We have to make a finding that they have made a good faith effort. So if they're coming and saying we're not going to build till 2028, 2029, can we consider the other steps that they're taking kind of making progress as a good faith effort?
Absolutely, and from the staff perspective, they're 100% following through with all the commitments they've made to us. When they bought the project, they're Petaluma, they're out of Petaluma, their home offices, and so they're really excited to be building so close to home. But they had a queue of projects in in their pipeline, and they were 100% upfront with that from the beginning. One of the challenges is, when the project was approved, it was approved with the four-way intersection at this location, as is planned there in our general plan and for years. And we referred the project to Caltrans, and they signed off on that. And then when we went to engage with them on the design, that's when the roundabout issue came up. So the developers have been 100% supportive of that change. The project's not conditioned to do the roundabout, so they're having to make some pivots in their design and their engineering, but they've been working with us the entire time.
Any other questions from City Council? Okay. Yeah, my question is, 2029 is what they had said, and then they're extending for 1 year, and then they get 2 one-year extensions. Does it reset any time, or in 2027 they'll pull another 1-year extension, and I guess it's 2028?
That's correct. So that's why we're working with them to try to allow them to vest, but they need to do something that demonstrates their commitment to the community and also building on unacceptable timeline. And so if they're not able to vest within this 1 year, then they will be back before the council, and the council will have another opportunity to kind of ask some of these questions, probe a little bit as to why things haven't moved forward, or where are they. And again, the applicants are on the line tonight if the council has any direct questions for them, or maybe they have some things they'd like to offer. I'm not sure. But.
Okay. Any further questions you want to hear?
Well, I would love to hear from the applicants a few brief thoughts about timeline.
Okay. Yeah, the applicants are on there if they can share information about the timeline.
Speaking, I believe Chris is on the line. We're going to give you permission to speak.
Hi, how are you? This is Chris with Diamond Boulevard. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm sorry, so what was the question? Thanks, Noah and JP and John Paul for everything. What was the question, I'm sorry, from council?
It's just, we'd love a few words about your thoughts about timeline for getting the project built.
Yeah, no problem. So like we've said, and what planning has said, 28, 29 for us is when we would start hopefully construction. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do before construction with the city of Cotati, design, permits, all that stuff. That takes probably a year. Right now we're doing 500 units. So obviously capital is capital, and we're committed to those. So once those are finished in the time frame we're doing now, which they should be done in 28, 29, this is the next project we're slated to start. So that's our time frame. And again, like Noah said, we're more than willing to help commit to Highway 116 and doing the turnabout, doing our frontage to make it look complete when the city does their work with Caltrans. But that's our time frame as of now, unless something dramatically changes to where we can do all the developments that we have queued up right now, we would, but it's just not feasible.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So now, any other questions? Okay, one more question, Councilmember
Yeah,
Sparks.
sorry, I just have a follow-up for Chris. There's a big difference between 28 and then 29. Do you have a sense for what's most likely to happen in terms of being able to vest before all these extensions run out?
We, like Noah was saying, we're trying to find ways to vest with doing the turnabout, because we have to invest a significant amount of money to do the frontage road on our property, to do the turnabout for the city of Cotati. And like we've told Noah and his team, we are 100% on board with that. We're already spending money now, right? We have designers working with the city of Cotati. We actually have some architectural working now, and landscapers are activated on this site, landscape designers. So we're spending money, we're spending time on it. So I would say we're doing everything we can. We can't predict what happens in 20 and 29. Obviously a big factor to build these sites. It's very expensive. And the amount of capital we have to come up with. I mean, we're a local owned family, right? We don't go out to the public or anything for money. So hopefully everything works out like we want it to, like it has been doing for the last 22 years on our developments, and we should be fine. We should be hitting that date at the start of 28, 29. And starting for us would actually be in 28, because we'll be dealing with the city of Cotati and doing our design. You see the elevations, there's still so much to do for that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that information. So now we're going to open it up to a public hearing. Public hearing's open, and we'll start in the room. We have a card here from Monica Goodell. And why don't you go ahead and come forward, and you can speak here at the...
Dropping my stuff, sorry. Hello, I'm Monica Goodell. I have owned a home in the Katati Cottages since 2007. It's a lovely community. We've been involved kind of figuring out how this new community will be next to us. And when I got the letter about the extension, that's understandable because I know everything that's kind of going on with it. But I was surprised to see the environmental studies are continually being waived on this property. Back in 2020, there was, from my understanding, they were allowed to put their own fill from somewhere else. That's not all organic. It's very much, like when they were dumping it, we could see, just different bits of metal and shrapnel and like things that are not part of a natural fill. So many of us in the community, unfortunately, a lot of us couldn't be here tonight, but many of us in the community have question for the city, is this still going to be waived? There is also the concern about the salamanders, which was mentioned with the CIT, and I'll tell you, the kids in our neighborhood love looking at those salamanders, so they still definitely live in our neighborhood, and so I'm pretty sure they're in that property as well. And something else. Oh, is there a consequence if they don't develop within these 1 and 2 year extensions? I don't know if you can answer any of these questions, but these are our concerns currently. And then lastly, the new roundabout proposal is in the new realignment, but Alder, I'm hoping that you guys I'm asking you to please don't close that off. Let it be a right turn out to 116. Let it be a right turn in to go to Acre and Jane and the golf place in my neighborhood. If you cap that off and make us all filter out to that new roundabout, 177 homes, we have 46 units in our development, and I was trying to do the math. I mean, it's got to be over 100 people living there. And then the people that live on the properties behind, we can't all filter out if there was an emergency. So those are my requests that I'd love for you to take note of, and thank you for hearing me out.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the room who would like to make a comment? Anyone else who would like to make a comment in the room? If not, we'll go to online.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Zoom attendees, use the raise hand icon if you'd like to make a comment. The first hand is from Lori. You have the floor.
Hi. On this one, how long are we going to chase monies? It's the same as with grants for the roundabout and everything. You're still $2 million short for the roundabout, never mind. And you put waivers in that keep the city getting money for the impact fees till later. So how long are we supposed to wait? Look at the Katati Hotel. It's had a building permit for 3 years. Do we have a Katati Hotel? I feel for the developer, but just having to wait in line when we've had so much go wrong as far as building and everything in Katati, it seems like a burden that we shouldn't have to have anymore. That we had extension after extension. I think the original ERI or whatever was in 2003. We're talking by the time they do it, it'll be 25 years old. And the tiger salamander hadn't even been classified as endangered then. So this is just, and they have Katati Village 2 coming up in 6 months. Are we just going to keep doing this and doing this and doing this, or are we going to take some kind of action? I feel for the developers, but maybe they need to, maybe if we didn't give it an extension, they would actually spend the money now, make it a priority. Anyway, thank you.
And there are no further hands on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. So we'll bring it back, close the public hearing, and bring it back to council. I was going to ask if there was a few questions in the public hearing that I'm wondering if we can get some responses to. I heard about the fill, that maybe it was not organic and there was other material in there. What if it doesn't get developed, and the time continues to continue? What other questions was on here? Alder Avenue?
Stepping Alder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, sticking with Alder, so it is worth noting that the current general plan does show Alder as being potentially closed. But we've heard loud and clear, we spent a lot of time with the neighborhood, and that was very clearly communicated that that's not in their interest. None of the projects that have been approved, so neither Cotati Village 1 or Cotati Village 2 proposes to close Alder or would implement that. And I believe the city is evaluating options for updating the general plan to not have that closed. Obviously, that's not happening now, but we also aren't planning for that closure. So that wouldn't be required for either one of the projects to go forward, although West Cotati does need to be realigned with a new intersection, as we've been talking about. Getting to the environmental studies, there have been no environmental studies that have been waived. As Ms. Alderman mentioned, there was a full EIR that was done for the development of this entire part of the city in the early 2000s, and subsequent environmental analysis for different projects have built onto that, and then also built onto the environmental analysis of the general plan. So no studies have been waived, and there have been project-specific environmental analysis for all the city's approvals. There's a lot of documentation of that. We're happy to share that with anyone. And then with regards to the soil specifically, as grading occurs on that site, all that soil will be evaluated. It'll have to meet the soil engineer requirements. If there were some foreign debris in that, that'll be removed. But the city does not have any knowledge or concern about significant contamination of that soil or anything of that matter. And I'll let Mr. Harries jump in on some of the other questions, if there are any. Maybe consequences of not building. It's, as we talked about, there could be, the entitlement can expire, which would send them back to the drawing board and have to go back through the entitlement process, public hearings, even if they were to propose their same design. And then I will touch on the waivers for impact fees. So the state has required all jurisdictions in California to allow developers to postpone payment of impact fees to when their building permits are finalized or the buildings are being occupied, which previously they would have to pay when their building permits were issued. So that's a state law, and yes, we are implementing that and being consistent with the requirements of the state.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bringing it back to council. Is there any further comments or questions on this item? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'll just say that I wish that we could say build now and it would happen, and but I don't think it works that way. And the city doesn't build housing, so we're dependent on partners, private development partners. So I think it's a tough development environment, and while I hope that the design work is not what's starting in 28. I hope that we're actually getting digging starting in 2028, not 2029, so that these badly needed housing units can come to fruition. I really want to see people moving in as soon as possible, but I'm in favor of awarding the extension.
Okay, any other comments or?
I just want to say I think it's important we continue a good dialogue with the residents in the Cotati village community there, or the Cotati cottages, and their input I think is invaluable, and that everything's as harmonious as it can be as we go through the next several years to see this project to completion. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I echo the comments that were made. We have 2.5 times our RHNA numbers entitled, approved, but we're waiting for them to be built. So it'll be a happy day once we see shovels in the ground. Okay, thank you. So is that for So it's just a hearing. Is there a motion or anything on that one, or recommend, adopt a resolution? So we do want to adopt a resolution. Someone want to make a motion on that?
I move that we adopt a resolution granting a 12-month time extension to the Cotati Village 1 mixed-use project, inclusive of all previously adopted plans and conditions of approval, resulting in a new expiration date of November 15th, 2027.
Second.
A second? Okay, so we'll do a roll call. It's a public hearing, and we have an absent person. We'll do a roll call on that one.
Councilmember Savage,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparks,
Yes.
Councilmember Ford,
Yes.
Mayor Lemus.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Because the next item we have is a public hearing on ADU ordinance update. And is that Noah? Okay. Oh.
Associate
Autumn.
Planner Autumn
Oh, hi,
Buss will
Autumn.
be presenting this one.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Lemus and members of the council. We are asking you to hold a public hearing and introduce an ordinance to update the section of the city's code that relates to accessory dwelling units, also known as ADUs. Next slide, please. As you know, state law that relates to ADUs changes on a fairly regular basis. And so there were a new slate of laws that took effect January of this year, which we now need to update our code to be in conformance with. And in addition, recently the staff at the state's Housing and Community Development Department, known as HCD, reviewed the city's ADU code section, which is 1742-170, and had a number of items that they asked us to change based basically on a difference of interpretation between us and their staff, and we do need to defer to the HCD staff, so we are going to suggest some changes to the code based on their review as well. And all of this is in the draft ordinance before you and described in greater detail in the staff report. I'm just going to go over kind of a quick overview of the laws in HCD's review. Next slide, please. So the first law is AB 1154 that took effect in January of this year. Relates to junior accessory dwelling units, which are those ADUs that are 500 or square feet less in size, 500 or less square feet in size, and are contained within the footprint of an existing dwelling unit or a new build dwelling unit. So the law has been that the JADUs, when they're present, the owner of the property needs to either reside in the JADU or in the primary unit. And so the state law has changed with regard to that. As long as the JADU does not share a bathroom with the primary unit, then owner occupancy of the property is not required at all. All right, so that's an update that we'll make. Next is SB 9, and this is a more of a procedural change. This is not something that we need to update in the code. And there has not been, before now, there has not been a penalty for the failure of a jurisdiction to send its ADU ordinance to the state for review, to HCD. So now with this law, we are now required to not only to send our ordinance as when we update it to HCD, but if we don't do that, there's actually a penalty. The penalty is that our ordinance is null and void. So, which we don't want to have happen. We know that there's a very small amount of control that we still have over ADU development in the city. And so in order to hold on to those few things that we can, that we can control, we're going to keep sending our ordinance to them as quickly as we can whenever we update it. Next slide, please. SB 543 had a few changes. One is that we have used, per state law, existing state law, we've used gross floor area when we talk about the unit size or unit size limitations of an ADU. The legislature decided that interior living space is a better way to describe the size limitations, so we're going to be swapping that out. And I think that has to do with just making sure that no jurisdiction is attempting to limit the size of an ADU in any undue way by measuring to the outside of the walls and to the inside of the walls. So that changes in the ordinance. In addition, the law exempts JADUs from development impact fees explicitly. Now, JADUs are not actually a square footage size that would have actually triggered development impact fees anyway. The limit is 750 square feet, but they want to be really explicit. So we'll be doing that. In addition, the law exempts ADUs and JADUs that are under 500 square feet from school fees, which could have an impact on some of those smaller units related to the school fees. And then finally, the permit review and processing timelines have tightened up. Previously, we've had a 60-day turnaround to provide comments back to applicants or to approve or deny. That is now 15 days per law. And that's actually not really an issue for us. Our turnaround time has been pretty speedy. So, assuming that we don't encounter significant workload issues in the foreseeable future, that's really not going to have an impact on us. Okay, next slide. Okay, so moving on to the HCD staff's review of our code and the changes that we asked us for. They asked us first to include specific language saying that we would not deny an ADU permit based on non-conforming zoning conditions, building code violations, or any unpermitted structures on the property. Now, that is actually something we have been doing in practice because there is other state law, existing state law that states that non-conforming existing conditions can't interfere with an ADU's permit process as long as those are addressed in the ADU permit itself. So now we're going to say that in our code, that we won't let any non-conforming conditions or building code violations interfere with an ADU permit. Next, HCD took issue with the fact that we stated in our code that city zoning standards would still apply to the extent that they were not inconsistent with state law. And they didn't like that. They wanted us to remove all reference to our zoning codes and our zoning standards. And so that's also in the ordinance. The next is a really practical consideration. Previously, our ordinance had stated that an ADU could not get an occupancy permit or certificate of occupancy before the primary unit. And it turns out that the state law actually says, and we missed this, that in the event that the area, there's been a disaster and the governor has declared a state of emergency, state of disaster, if the primary unit was destroyed in one of said disaster, then an ADU could get the certificate of occupancy first, which makes a lot of sense. Okay, next slide, please. Also, HCD told us we need to remove our requirement that an ADU not be placed in front of the primary unit as long as there was any other place on the property that the ADU could be located. They told us that's not a restriction that we can put in place. If somebody wants to put an ADU in their front yard, they can. We are allowed to limit the size of such ADUs to 800 square feet, and so we're proposing that language in the ordinance. In addition, HCD informed us that the size limitations that we've had in place do not apply to attached ADUs on multifamily lots. That is based on a pretty fine interpretation of the state law. As far as we can tell, we thought those could be applied to all types of ADUs, but they say no. So it's detached on single-family lots and detached on multifamily lots, but not attached. And then finally, we were doing this in practice anyway. They want us to be more explicit about it. State law has allowed that all ADUs can receive an additional 2 feet of height beyond the stated height limit in order to meet the, to match the pitch of the primary unit. So that will be up to the peak of the house. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so that is it. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on the draft ordinance on August 3rd and recommended council adoption. Next slide. So with that, we have a recommendation for you. The Community Development Department and the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council hold a public hearing and adopt an ordinance amending Section 1742-170, accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units of the code to conform with state law. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you.
Hopefully.
Let's start with questions from council. Anyone have questions? Go ahead.
So to challenge HCD's reading of some of the laws would mean some kind of court case that I assume. I'm not proposing that we do such a thing, but is that correct? That's sort of the only recourse to what seemed to me like some pretty crazy readings of the law?
I believe so. And Noah has met with staff at HCD before, so he may be better able to speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, we may be able to engage with them on the staff level first, but I think to try to affect any change, because they are telling this consistently, and they're publishing a handbook on this that includes these interpretations of the legislation that I agree is pretty reaching. This is also feedback we got as a part of our pro-housing application. So we did apply for pro-housing. We've gotten feedback. We're engaged with them. They gave us an initial score that was pretty competitive, but they said that will not be finalized until certain things are responded to, including some ordinance work that we're doing. So yes, it would be a long, drawn-out process and likely not successful if we were to try to question their interpretation.
Right, right, yes. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, so we'll open up the public hearing. And we'll start with the online first this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Once again, Zoom attendees, if you would like to make a public comment on this item, please use the raise hand icon. Seeing no hands on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the room who would like to make a public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Any final comments or motions from council?
I move that we introduce an ordinance amending section 17.42.170 accessory dwelling units, junior accessory dwelling units of the Cotati Municipal Code to conform with state law.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, we'll do a roll call vote on this, please.
Councilmember Savage?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparks?
Yes.
Councilmember Ford?
Reluctantly, yes.
Mayor Lemus?
Yes, thank you, and that passes. Okay, thank you. So next item we have is we're going to the regular agenda. And the first item we have is an appointment of a voting delegate and alternate to the 2026 League of California Cities Annual Conference.
All right, so thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Every year, the League, Cal Cities, has an annual conference. This year, it's in Anaheim. And in advance of that annual conference, oftentimes the League publishes some resolutions that they want the cities that are attending to consider. And this year we received one such resolution from the city of Murrieta with some other cities endorsing it. It's included in the packet. So as part of this, the league requests that cities that attend designate voting delegates. So basically, council members that, generally council members, that when they're attending, they're authorized by their councils to vote on the items that are before them. And so at this point, we only know of the one resolution. There could be other things that come up last minute, closer to the conference, that we're not yet aware of. But at this point, this is the only one that we're aware of. And so it's maybe a good segue from the ADU conversation we just had. So it's a resolution about preserving local land use and zoning control, provided that cities meet their RHNA obligations and plan appropriately to have the capacity to meet the RHNA requirements that are handed down through the regional government, state regional government processes that are in place. Historically, in terms of voting delegates, this is all in the staff report, but typically the mayor would be the voting delegate. That's usually how it goes, and then the vice mayor would be the alternate, with potentially myself being another alternate if the vice mayor doesn't go. That's generally how it goes. Occasionally, the mayor or the vice mayor can't go. I think in this case, even though Susan isn't, or Councilmember Vice Mayor Harvey is not here tonight, she has indicated previously in conversations with me that she's able to attend the conference. Just in rare circumstances in the past, one of the, either the mayor or the vice mayor haven't been able to go, and another council member is delegated. But that's how it's worked historically. So the action before you tonight is to name the voting delegate as the mayor, the voting delegate, and the vice mayor or myself as alternates for the 2026 League Annual Conference, and provide the mayor with any direction, if there is any, on the resolution that's included in the packet. And as I was starting to say, sometimes the initial vote doesn't pass and there's multiple revotes, and so the motion typically also includes some latitude for the voting delegate to vote to the best of their ability based on their understanding of the council's priorities if the initial vote doesn't pass. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any, but that's it for the staff report on this one.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I see the letter in here from Marietta and with the supporting letters as well. Any questions from City Council on this item? No? Okay, so we will go to public comment on this one. So can we go online first?
Thank you, Mayor Lee. Ms. Zoom attendees, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please use the raise hand icon. Seeing no hands on Zoom.
Thank you. In the room, is there anyone that would like to make a comment on this item? Seeing none, I will bring it back to council for further comment or a motion. And recommendation for a vote. Go ahead.
Yes, I would recommend we go ahead and appoint the mayor and then the vice mayor and the city. Perhaps the city. Do you want to be the delegate? Are you going to the conference?
I'm still sorting that out, but I mean, as an alternate, it'd be an alternate to the vice mayor.
Okay, I'll appoint you as an alternate just in case. I just had a thought about the proposed resolution, which is we have been frustrated at many points with some of the things that have been handed down to us from the state, and so I generally agree with some of the things that are in here, but I do know these things can change and become different as part of the resolution process, and so if I would like to see the voting delegate support the resolution as long as it's broadly still supportive of enhancing housing production and removing
local control. Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of the opposite of that. I mean, local control is what this is all about, and I'm in favor of that. But also, if the resolution starts going too far in the other direction, if like a NIMBY kind of direction, I wouldn't want our cities to be supportive of it.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
But I think you have to use your judgment in the moment.
Okay, Councilmember Ford.
I was going to argue that we should oppose the resolution as it's currently worded unless there's some more teeth put in the state's authority to establish and enforce housing goals. I think the reason all of this is happening is because there are bad actor cities, and the resolution as it's currently written would just allow them to continue to thumb their nose at the state's needs. And so especially the second, be it resolved, which says, currently it says the Constitution, the League should work towards a constitutional amendment that preserve the state's authority to establish broad statewide housing goals and enforce constitutional and civil rights, fair housing, building and life safety, while protecting cities from state actions that compel, through funding conditions or state law, the approval of housing developments that are inconsistent with locally adopted requirements. And we have cities in the state who will not approve anything but large single-family homes, and that's just not. If they work for some constitutional amendment that does that and takes all teeth out of the state's ability to force all cities to participate in housing production, then I don't think we should put our city's name behind that, because we're working really hard to do our part to meet housing goals and to argue for a constitutional amendment that would enable other cities to completely ignore that responsibility. I think we should oppose that unless there's a lot more teeth put in here about city, because we're suffering because some cities are bad actors, frankly. And so, the last item, I was pissed at the feedback we got from HCD, but that's all happening because some of our city colleagues don't want the state telling them what to do at all. And I think there's got to be some balance.
I would support that there needs to be some balance in that. My initial thought was if some cities are basically able to take themselves out of the pie, does that mean we all have a bigger piece of pie then that we have to digest in our communities? So I would be concerned about that. And then, I don't think we really have examples of where any of these communities have suffered detriments because of too much housing being built in their cities. So I think, maybe it's an overreaction of these cities that just don't want to play in the game of trying to solve the housing issues that we have in our state.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with what the other council members have said, and I think that these things can evolve during the convention, so the devil's going to be in the details.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that there probably would be a lot of discussion there, and there'll be other cities probably bring that up too, that we need more housing production. And so then that will be good for me to make sure that that is in here, that we encourage cities to not get away from single family. So not meeting the housing requirements versus we all need to do that and be on board.
There is in the proposed, the ending of that second, be it resolved, is when a city has planned in good faith to accommodate its regional housing needs allocation and maintains adequate capacity for housing at all income levels. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think that's their attempt to address this balance issue, and I'm just not sure
adequate capacity for housing at all income levels. Okay.
that it just feels like a contradiction to state actions can't compel through funding conditions or state law the approval that are inconsistent with locally adopted requirements. So it feels to me like there's a contradiction already built in there, and I don't know how you resolve that.
Has planning good faith, but what is good faith versus required? Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
They're talking about setting up a working group to work through the details of it. So I guess it's how much faith do you have in the resolution to guide that working group or not, how it's written today.
Yeah.
At the resolution stage, otherwise it would be something that would have to be engaged with later as it develops. As a constitutional amendment for 2030 is what they're saying.
Yeah, the bulk of the resolution is clearly about reestablishing more local control. And there's that one phrase added in there about has planned in good faith to meet their requirements, but I feel like it's too much on the side of local control right now and not enough on meeting the state's needs. So I would
Okay,
My preference would be that we not support it unless it moves in the direction of more balance.
okay. Yeah, moves more into meeting the housing needs of the state, okay. Okay, so then that's the motion to support those, that type of a resolution instead of just as is.
Yeah, I guess we'd maybe phrase it as a support if amended, kind of.
Support if amended, okay.
Or maybe oppose unless amended.
Yeah.
Oppose unless
That's a good
amended,
way to say
okay.
it, right, that's a good way to say it.
Got it. Okay, so we'll make a motion then on the resolution opposed against unless amended, and then myself and alternate the vice mayor or city manager. And then the motion was made by, did we make a motion?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
I move that we appoint Mayor Lemus as the voting delegate to LOCC and appoint Vice Mayor Harvey and City Manager Obed as alternates, and that we recommend opposing the resolution unless amended as discussed.
Second.
A second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next item we have? Wait a second. Did I get public comment on that? I don't think I did. Did I? I did.
May I ask you questions since I missed, since I didn't really understand what ADU was until after it went to you guys?
Go back to the previous ADU item?
May I just ask you a question regarding housing?
Well,
It's, okay, you have a question about ADU, the previous item? Okay, well, I'll allow you if you want to come up here and ask a question.
Because there's like around 500,000 homeless, if housing is for those, and a lot of them come from other states, is Cotati and or anybody in the state of California allowed to say, since that state neglected providing a solution for the homeless person, have the right to claim that state to pay for the funding and services of the homeless person so that they would pay for the housing in California? Because homelessness is a national issue. The Supreme Court has addressed homelessness. California is warmer. You guys give the homeless people more money. It's a lot safer with law enforcement like Marin County or like Novato downtown. So you literally see the homeless flocking here. And that's just my question. Is there any way to be reimbursed financially so that you can actually have a solution for all these people?
So you're asking about a way to reimburse for ADUs? Because the question was about ADUs.
He brought up how ADUs were for housing.
Yes.
So housing, a lot of people who are applying for housing nowadays are homeless. It's not just mentally ill or people who aren't capable of working. Homeless people are being flooded into housing. And a large number of the homeless people in California were not born and are not from California. They come here because of the warmer weather.
The discussion that we had earlier on was about cleaning up language on ADUs.
Oh, language, okay.
Yeah, clean up language in ADUs that the state gave us, but it wasn't about the funding or connected to the homeless situation. But if you want to email, the information to us or come during the next public comment at the next meeting, you're welcome to provide any information that you like.
My apologies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd also take public comment online too.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and open it online, public comment on the ADU previous item.
Once again, Zoom attendees, please use the raise hand icon to make a public comment. There are no hands on Zoom. That'll end public comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item we have is Enhanced Infrastructure Finance District Update. We have an item report on that?
Yeah, Mayor, City Council members. So as you will all recall, in June of this year, the City Council adopted a resolution declaring its intent to establish an Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, an EIFD. with boundaries that generally coincided with our established priority development areas. So those are MTC priority development areas. At the same time, the City Council also created the PFA, which is the Public Finance Authority. And at that time, we declined to appoint any City Council members or a public member, as the viability of the proposed EIFD depended largely on the county's desire to participate in it or not. So on August 18th of this year, the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors unanimously elected to join Cotati's PFA. So you recall one of the conversations we had at the time was that the only operational EIFD in the county is Santa Rosa, and that's a 7-member board. And so we had formed a PFA with 5. The Board of Supervisors elected. They didn't have any concerns with that. They just elected to appoint a supervisor. So with a 5-member board, there's one on the county side. There is one supervisor, and there'd be one public member that the county would appoint. And then the other 3 are 2 City Council members, and then 1 public member that we would appoint. Anyway, so David Rabbit was appointed by the Board of Supervisors since we're in his district. And they also, the other action that was taken was that they directed county staff to get a peer review of our fiscal analysis. And so that's where it stands right now. I don't expect that there will be a PFA meeting anytime between now and November. I expect at this point the county is going to be doing a fiscal analysis or a peer review of our fiscal analysis, and then there'll be conversations about what level of support or participation the county wants to take in our EIFD, so our proposed EIFD. And when we did our fiscal analysis, as you recall, the assumption was that the city would be doing a 50% tax increment contribution, and the county would be doing 33%, which is also higher than, on the county side, higher than what Santa Rosa, in the Santa Rosa example. So I expect that's going to be the bulk of the conversation, is what level of county participation would make sense. And then that will ultimately drive, it doesn't make sense at all as an endeavor to go through the process of standing this up and maintaining it. Because Cotati is much smaller than the Santa Rosa example in terms of revenue and investment. So for it to make sense, it needs to be enough investment to build the infrastructure that we're trying to build to catalyze the projects. If, for example, the county were to significantly reduce their participation in the EIFD, it may not make sense to move forward because there may not be enough funding in it to actually do useful things that we want to do to catalyze the projects that we had indicated in the formation. So anyway, that's just where it stands. So I just expect over the next several months, at some point they'll get a peer review completed, then there'll be some staff level conversations, and at some point we'll come back to council. So I don't think there's any near-term need for the city council to appoint anyone to the PFA. Even though the county did appoint someone, I don't think there's going to be any activity, at least probably not until early next year. So there's no action on this item. I just wanted to provide an update to the council on this so you know where it stands.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Go ahead.
Did the board discuss it, or was it in the consent calendar?
It was a regular calendar item they discussed.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will say that most of that, the item is in there, is attached to the packet, but most of the conversation was really about the West County EIFD that they're forming. And you'll see some of the other actions that the county staff were going to be taking is updating their policy, their EIFD policy, because they hadn't anticipated what generated that request from, I think, the board was that they hadn't really anticipated a county-only EIFD, and so they're like, what do we do with that? That in terms of our participation, in terms of our board, composition and all that. So that they wanted to update their policy to address that sort of thing.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, go ahead.
And they appointed a member who won't be on the board anymore by the time the board, the EIFD board meets.
It's very likely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Sparks?
Yes, thank you. I noticed that they are allocating, I think it was $75,000 to do the peer review or the consultant to, on that, and it's coming from the district formation funds. Is that district formation funds, is that a pot of money at the county that's going to be replenished by the increment in the future, or what? Do you know? I was just curious how they're thinking about that, because it was, a positive step to see that they're willing to invest in it.
Well, I do know when we, assuming it moves forward and we set up the infrastructure plan, part of that conversation, I mean, that would be a next step if we move on to actually try to follow through with forming it. There is technically an ability to recover the formation costs, and that would be a conversation at that time,
Is that what? Yeah, I just want to understand whether that $75,000 is going to come from our side of it in the future, or their side of the enhanced revenue in the future.
I mean, there's a possibility that they don't try to recover it at all. That they're just, and that $75,000 isn't strictly for us. It would be also, there's other like EIFDs that are. They wanted to set aside some money to do some other work, outside of just strictly what we were doing.
Oh, okay, I saw it under the City of Cotati section, so I thought it looked quite expensive. So that explains it's.
Yeah,
but more than one project at once.
But I do think, so if we participate in an EIFD together, it'll be, combined city and county increment that would be in that pool, and that's to the extent that any sort of repayment of the formation costs are included. That would be paid out of that. So it could be county and or city money,
But we don't get to any say in that expense at this point.
No.
Okay.
Not right now. No. I mean that when the infrastructure plan comes forward, the city council will look at it and weigh in on it, and so will the PFA ultimately have to adopt it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go to public comment, and we'll go online first.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Once again, Zoom attendees, if you'd like to make a comment on this item, please use the raise hand icon. The first hand is from Lori. You have the floor.
Guess who? First comment I wanted to make is how there's so much uncertainty coming up. There's the 2nd and 4th district county supervisors are going to be new people, and also the city council is changing. And if that, it just seems like I don't know how much momentum would go on with a new makeup of how the county and city is going. The other question is the delay in the housing projects. How does that impact the EFI if we don't? Because I can't remember if Cotati Village is part of the EFI or anything like that. I'm just a little confused on that. Thank you.
There are no further hands on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the room that wants to make a comment on the Enhanced Infrastructure Finance District update, the EIFD update? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back to council. Is there any final comments? I know that what I'm seeing is that this will unlock, maybe not immediately, but unlock so that we can have either infrastructure, unlock housing, maybe downtown priority areas where we can kind of use some of this potential eventual money that we'll have in the future with the EIFD.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Any comments or motion?
No, I think this is just a report, and it sounds like I agree there's no action to be taken in terms of appointing council members to the PFA at this point because the council's about to change and things like that. Makes sense to wait. Just looking at the map, all of the housing projects along 116 are in the potential boundaries of the EIFD.
Great. Okay, I did want to go back and offer a public comment to item 9A. I don't think I opened it for public comment. That's the appointment of the voting delegate and alternate to the 2026 League of California Cities. I don't believe that I opened it up for public comment.
Yeah, I believe you did,
Did?
but
Okay.
I don't know that it hurts.
Okay, all right, I'll go back and look at the video, make sure I did. Okay. All right, so next item is
Actually, you
consider-
did. I can confirm you
Thank you.
did.
I
Yeah,
confirmed I
yeah.
did. Okay, great. Thank you. Next item, consider supporting AB 1761 Rogers, improving PCIA transparency. The PCIA is the charge, right, public charge.
Power charge and difference adjustment.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lovingly known as the PCIA.
The
Yeah.
PCIA.
Yeah. So, so what this is a bill, AB 1761, that was authored by Chris Rogers, local legislator, former. You probably, I mean, aside from being one of our local legislators, you also might know him from his time on the Santa Rosa City Council. Anyway, he's the primary author of this bill that is intended to improve transparency around the PCIA calculation. And it's made it through the legislature at this point, and it's just waiting for to go to the governor. So that's why the timing's critical on this one. It'll be on the governor, before the governor sometime soon for him to either sign or veto, or do nothing at all, in which case it would become law automatically. But in any case, it'll be before the governor soon. So just a little background. In 2011, the Public Utilities Commission created the power charge and difference adjustment. And basically the idea at the time was for investor-owned utilities like PG&E was that the concern I think that was trying to be addressed here was that they were losing customers to community choice aggregators like Sonoma Clean Power and others up and down the state. So the IOUs, the investor-owned utilities, were, I think, complaining to the PUC that all these customers were leaving, and PG&E had invested in building, power generation facilities, or they'd bought futures contracts on energy based on the customer base that they thought they would have. And so this PCIA concept came up in 2011. And the idea was that it was supposed to, the indifference piece of it is supposed to be that if you're a PG&E customer, you're not impacted negatively or positively. It's a neutral, basically a charge to make it neutral for your remaining PG&E customers so they don't have to pay for contracts that PG&E entered into before they knew they were losing customers. That's basically the concept behind the PCIA. And in the intervening years, there's been a lot of like wildly fluctuating rates for the PCIA. And what this bill is trying to address specifically is the PCIA is it's not calculated in any sort of transparent way. It's kind of like sausage. You don't really know what's in it. You just see what the end product looks like, and you don't know. You don't know if there's beaks or feet or whatever in it. And the idea is that you get to see if this bill passes. The idea is that it would be calculated transparently, and everybody would know all the different costs that are going into the calculation, and so that they can intelligently comment on PCIA charges that are proposed by PG&E or other IOUs in front of the PUC. And this particular bill, my understanding was it was supported by the Ledge Committee of the Mayors and Council Members Association. It's also supported by Cal Cities, and obviously the community choice aggregators in the state. Their association has supported it also. And they have, I believe it's the Association of Community Choice Aggregators, have asked all of the member organizations in that association to reach out to their member constituents. So like the city of Cotati is a member of Sonoma Clean Power, to individually hopefully support it, and then get that before the governor before he makes a decision on the bill. So anyway, all the bill in its current form is attached, as well as the fact sheet from I believe this is from Logan Pitts, the legislative director for Rogers, and then also a sample letter. So that's the form that the support would take, is basically using that sample letter that's attached. And we're looking for a motion to authorize the mayor to sign and send this letter. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Questions on this item? Okay, we'll go to public comment, and we'll start online.
Thank you, Mayor Lemus. Once again, Zoom attendees, if you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please use the raise hand icon. Mayor Lemus, there are no hands on Zoom.
Thank you. In the room, any comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to council. I think it's a good thing to support. We at Sonoma Clean Power, we constantly talk about the PCIA rate, about how we need to inform the public about how it's not transparent and it really impacts our communities. Okay, comments?
Yeah, similar from my time on
Yes.
the Sonoma Clean Power Board, and as alternate, I followed the PCIA debacle closely, and it is clearly, as clearly as I can understand it, which is not completely clearly because PG&E won't tell us what their basis is for their claim for these charges, but it appears that PG&E uses the PCIA to offload the costs of its worst contracts onto Sonoma Clean Power customers, and they've managed to make it into a hedge against bad bets rather than actual costs of their customers leaving for Sonoma Clean Power. So we have not, we're not gaining more customers at Sonoma Clean Power, but PG&E keeps figuring out ways to jack up the PCIA on our members to cover their bad bets made long after our customers left PG&E. So definitely support this bill.
Thank you. Any other comments or motion?
I move that we authorize the mayor to sign and send a final version of the attached letter regarding the PCIA to Governor Newsom in support of Assembly Bill 1761.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So next item, we have land acknowledgement and pledge of allegiance, and I ask you to please join us. The City of Cotati recognizes that we're on the ancestral lands of the coastal Miwok, who are the original caretakers of this area. We respectfully acknowledge the indigenous peoples who have been stewarding and maintaining a relationship on this land as knowledge keepers for millennia. This acknowledgement does not take the place of authentic relationships with indigenous communities, but serves as a gesture of respect to the land that we are on. And now join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Next item we have is City Manager's Report and Council Member Reports.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. So one thing just to let you all know about, I mentioned that the traffic signals on Old Redwood Highway at East Cotati Avenue, so like right downtown, and also at Valparaiso and Myrtle, are they've been slated to be repainted, and we were hoping to get them repainted at nighttime, but the dew points never work out, because apparently we live in a damper area at night, and so we're switching to daytime just to get them painted, and we're expecting that the work will start on Tuesday, September 8th, so the day after Labor Day, and it should last for a couple weeks. I believe I don't have an exact duration, but just so you know, there'll be some painting activity happening, and it will cause a little bit of a traffic delay for a little bit through the downtown one in particular. The other one shouldn't be too bad over by Valparaiso and Myrtle. This Thursday is our leash cutting ceremony on the newly constructed Putnam Dog Park at 3 p.m., so you can bring your pooch and come have some fun while we celebrate the new community park. We have pet-centric vendors and resources available to check out, a toy exchange, and are also hosting a donation drive to benefit the Roanoke Park Animal Shelter, which, as you know, services Cotati. So we're accepting toys, foods, treats, blankets, beds, towels, and other things that pets might like. Also, starting on Thursday will be our free inclusive play group and parent learning circle at the ranch, hosted by Sandy Loam and the Common Ground Society. And this is funded through a grant from First Five Sonoma County and Measure I, and the play group is for children ages 0 to 5 and their parents or caregivers. So that's starting up. Continuing on Saturdays is the Blossom Tea Social with fresh grown flower sales at the Ronda Flady Ranch between 10 a.m. and noon. So you can stop by and see the flower garden and enjoy some fresh tea if you would like to do that. Also, the early release after-school enrichment classes at the ranch start on September 9th and continue on Wednesdays from noon or 12:30 to 5 for children pre-K through 5th grade. And then September 12th is a busy day at the ranch with a free compost and volunteer day from 10 a.m. to noon. We have, as I mentioned, there's tea socials on Saturdays, so that's from 10 a.m. to noon, a free portable container gardening workshop hosted by the Master Gardeners of Sonoma County, a farm fresh floral design workshop that includes leaving with your very own bouquet of flowers. There's a small charge for that, but you get flowers in a vase. And you can attend any combination of these programs that day between 10 a.m. and noon, so there'll be a lot of things going on in different parts of the ranch that day. On Saturday, September 19th, we're hosting our third annual Grubbin' the Hub Food Festival and Movie at La Plaza Park. And that's from 3 to 7 p.m. is the food festival part. So you can come down and enjoy food from several food trucks and vendors, many food trucks and vendors, as well as other local vendors selling market goods. Live music from two different 1980s cover bands, Chrome Addict and Aquanet. They start at 7. I don't know if any of you guys follow those two bands, but they'll be there. And we're showing the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory on the blow-up screen once the sun goes down. And so that's the 1971, I think, version. So not the newer Johnny Depp one, but it's the one that started it all. So it's free to attend and all are welcome. And then continuing through the end of September is the Cotati Farmers Market every Wednesday from 4:30 to 7:30 in La Plaza Park. And each week features live music, drinks, dinner, food, produce, fresh produce, and local goods. That's it for tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you. So we'll go to council member reports. Okay, go ahead.
Along with a couple other folks, I attended the new SSU president's address to the community last Thursday, and he had a very positive and hopeful message. So we'll see how things go. Keep an eye on that. I also have agreed to participate in the Week Without Driving, which is going to be October 1st through October 8th. And I was contacted by a local transit advocate who was hoping to get other folks on the Cotati City Council to agree to participate, and wanted everyone to know that even if it's not possible to completely forgo driving during that week, you can still be listed as a participant and just do as much as you can. Personally, I have to go up to Lake Sonoma twice that week, so I'm not going to be able to catch the bus there. But other than that, I'm going to try. And I have done it once before, and it was really useful to me, to seeing some real specific issues that weren't visible to me before. So highly encourage everyone to participate. Thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
A couple things. The Sonoma County Mayors and Council Members Association met 10 or 11 days ago in Rohnert Park at what is apparently the best pickleball facility in the United States, according to them. And we, at that event, heard from SSU's president with a similar upbeat message to the one he gave 2 days later, a few days later when we saw him on campus at the breakfast meeting. I went last Saturday to the Land Paths 30th anniversary celebration, which is a group that does great work in the county, and it also was recognizing the retirement of their executive director, Craig Anderson, who has been a major player in land preservation in the county. So it was a great event. The Measure O Oversight Committee met last Wednesday, and the work being enabled by Measure O in the county is pretty amazing. We are very lucky to have that funding source here in the county to support mental health services. And so the committee, the county health department has kind of figured out how to it's tough to run up, to bring up to speed a $30 million a year operation quickly, but it's been a few years now, and they've sort of got the programs working quite nicely, and it's supporting like a lot of highly needed beds and services for people in the county. It expires in 2030, and so outside of the oversight committee's work, there is a conversation starting up about a renewal effort that I will probably try to participate in, because I see through the oversight committee the work that is possible because of that funding in an incredibly challenging federal and state funding landscape, which is historically the funding sources for mental health services. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I just want to report out that our library, the Roanoke Park Cotati Regional Library, will begin their long-anticipated renovation work in September, updating HVAC and lighting, new carpet and paint, new service desk, and refreshing the children's area and some upgraded furniture. So the library will close on Tuesday, September 1st, and what they're calling to-go library will open on September 8th at the Sonoma County Library headquarters on State Farm Drive. So they've been messaging out to members in the community that go to the story times, book clubs, teen advisory group, and other activities of the locations that those will continue to be held in various sites around the community. And then they anticipate opening back up in January. You can also visit existing locations in other cities and their digital resources.
Okay, thank you. And let me see, on the 13th, I also attended the Sonoma County Mayors and Council Members meeting, and I did go to the prior board meeting that they had, where there was a presentation on BAFA, which is a housing measure, and they're looking at potentially going back to the voters in 2028, so they did a presentation on that. And then we had a presentation by HUD-VASH, which is Veteran Housing and Support Services, by Sienna Johnston. Like was already mentioned, SSU President, Dr. Michael Spania, and an update by the Sonoma County CEO, David Guin. He gave us an update at that meeting. On August 15th, Saturday, I went to the Cotati Accordion Festival. I attended on Saturday and was able to introduce on stage a band that played in the afternoon. I went to the polka tent and danced a little bit. I went to Spanky's and danced a little bit, so I had a fun afternoon on Saturday. On August 20th, I went to Sonoma State University, the President Morning Meeting. It was very encouraging, positive, and we saw there could be a lot of potential partnerships for the community through that conversation. It was really good. On last Friday, I went to the Sonoma County Mayors and Council Members Legislative Meeting, where we heard updates from Cecilia Aguiar's office, Assemblymember Connolly, and Senator Cabalden gave updates at that meeting. I also went this last Friday in the afternoon to the Federated Indians of Great Rancheria and gave a State of the City presentation on the City of Cotati to the Tribal Council and their citizenry. There's a few questions that I'll be answering, and there was some positive statements of interactions that we've had with the city and the tribe, so that was positive. That was my last couple of weeks that I had. Was there any information received after the agenda was posted?
There were some minor updates made to one of the proclamations that was posted to the HTML agenda, and that was all that was received. Thank you.
Okay. I do want to close in memory. I didn't mention this, but I just learned about this. I want to close in the memory of Ilse Meingast, a Cotati resident who passed away on Sunday. She was 114 years old. 114 years old. They say the longest living Californian. So we're thankful for her. So I want to close in her memory today. Her grandson, I believe, came here from Germany to kind of be with her in her last days. But I was just notified right before the meeting, and so I want to close in her memory. So with that, the meeting is adjourned at 7:40 p.m.